This is an interview for the Am IUN archive project. My name is Skylar Gibson, and I am interviewing
Becca Hendricks.
Do I have your permission to share and upload your story?
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Sure. So we may have talked about this a little earlier, but I'm from Northwest Indiana. I grew up in Lowell. I always tell everybody not just Lowell, but unincorporated Lowell, so like in literally the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I grew up, we had like almost 4 acres-ish, surrounded by farms, cornfields, I would say as far as the eye can see. Literally nothing around us to do. So that forced me and my older sister, there was my older sister and myself, and then my mom and dad for a while. And we had to be creative with what we did, because we literally had fields and we had woods. It was just very country.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My grandparents are from Kentucky, so my mom had childhood summers down there, so she'd always say we'd have to get creative in what we did. And
yes.
Are there any moments from your childhood or adolescence that has led to the person you are today?
Yes, I would say quite a bit. So I think because of that, growing up in that space, a lot of space, I did have to be creative with, like, we played a lot of softball. I played softball growing up too. I was in a lot of sports. We built forts. We explored the woods across the street, which I heard, like, my mom would always talk about how it was, there was this company called the Canfield Pop Company. They used to make pop, of course that's what we call it here. Not soda, like some people like in other areas call it, but they had like a resort, and I think it was in the 40s or something like that, and that was across the street in the woods. And there's like, it was so cool to know that and to explore it, because it was all overgrown, you couldn't see it. But we would go over there with like the very few neighbor kids that were there, because it was all sprawled out. There was this like old concrete that you could see used to be an in-ground swimming pool. And there were like old little cottages, and then there was like this place where they would pull the cars up on some other concrete thing, and there was like a part we could walk underneath where they would work on the cars when they needed like to change oil and stuff like that. So it was that, like, I think just cracked open my imagination.
Yeah.
So we always had to just be creative and explore, and I think that contributed a lot to just who I am today as a graphic designer, which is what I've been doing since forever.
Yeah.
So it just made me who I am, I think, and it helps me how I guide my children too. I mean, they're growing up very differently, where they're surrounded by small houses. We live over in Hobart.
I live in Hobart.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's really
cool.
nice.
Where do you live in Hobart? Can I ask that?
Yeah, I live by the middle school.
Oh, okay. We live over by Joanne Martin.
Okay.
Just south.
Yeah, I went to Joanne Martin, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, neat.
Yeah.
See, we made a connection right here.
I know, and they're not too far from each other either.
No,
like
not at all.
Because where I live is kind of in between Joanne Martin and the middle school. So.
Oh, neat. Yeah, so we're neighbors.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's so
Wow.
cool. Yeah, well, that's where my daughters, I have 2 daughters. One's a sophomore and one's a 7th grader at the middle school.
Okay.
So they're, where they grew up, as you know, it's house after house after house.
Yeah.
So they're used to a very different upbringinging than I was. Like, I joke that you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl, because I'll still walk around outside without shoes on. I'm like, oh, I should probably put on some shoes.
My grandma says that all the time, because she was raised and grew up in Kentucky. So.
Yeah. So it definitely formed who I am today, and I think it also influences my kids too, of course, but they just have a different kind of experience.
Yeah.
Than I did.
Because I can understand what you're saying, you had to be creative growing up where you did, and so now your career is all about creativity and imagination, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
wow. Is there anyone in your life, past, present, or current, that has influenced the person you are today or that you look up to?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, but it kept coming back to my mom. I didn't really touch on this part from my childhood, but before how I said I grew up in a house with my older sister and my mom and my dad, and when I was 10, my parents got divorced, and so it was my dad who left. So it was just my mom and sister and me in that house in the middle of nowhere for the rest of my life. But I just, as an adult now and as a mom, it really, like, I've always appreciated her anyway, because she worked really hard. It's not easy being a single parent and living so far away from civilization. Like, she really, and I was always very involved in a lot of things, like sports and like clubs and things like that after school. So she would have to balance work and getting me where I needed to be before I could drive. And my sister, too, of course, she needed someone to take her where she needed to go, too.
Yeah.
But I look up to her, and she truly, really, I think, is the number one mentor, the person who I look up to, because she did so much for me.
Yeah.
And my sister, of course. But, that's just, I think it all comes back to her, my mom. Yeah. And she always we never had a choice. We were always going to college. And I remember one year in high school, well, it was my senior year in high school, in one of my classes, everybody was just talking at the end of the day, what are you going to do after graduation? I'm like, oh, well, I went to IU Bloomington.
Okay.
I'm going to college. And one person said, oh, well, I think I'm going to get a job and work for a while and see how that goes. And it just, I was totally dumbfounded. I'm like, but that's not an option.
Yeah.
To me, that was never an option. She always pushed us to go away to school because she never got to, but she wanted to. So.
Are you happy that, you grew up that way, having college being your only option?
I am. I know, there's so many options, and what's right for one person isn't necessarily right for another person. And I think it's important for everybody to know what's right for them. Yeah. And not feel like they have to do something just because they were told, Like if my mom were to tell me, well, you're going to college, but you have to study this. Like if I'm such a creative person, if she made me go to be like a doctor, I would be miserable. I wouldn't be happy. So I'm happy that she laid the groundwork for us, but she would also, I think she'd be open to some discussion about she just didn't want us to, because of the experience that she had, when she met my dad, she was young. When they got engaged, she was, I think, maybe 18 or so, and she got married when she was 20. But she told him when they got engaged, yes, I'll get married to you, but I want to finish college, because she was in college, and she so badly wanted to finish. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way, and she had to quit going to school because my dad wanted to have a family, and that's all stuff I don't need to bring into the interview, but I know that part of her, and so I know that she wanted that for us because she was in a situation where she found herself a single mom raising 2 kids, working a part-time job because she didn't have an education. She never wanted us to have to go through that. So that's why there was such a strong push to go to college, and she wanted us to see there's more than just Lowell, Indiana. She wanted us to see there's more to the world than just Lowell, Indiana. So.
She wanted you guys to have opportunities that she didn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
My mom is also a single parent, so I can definitely understand your appreciation. Yeah. It makes it sound easier than it is, but it's not.
No,
it's not
so
easy
not.
at all.
It's not, and I'm married and have 2 kids,
and it's not easy.
Still, I'm like, how did she do this on her own?
Yeah.
I have no idea. So it all came back to my mom. As I wrote on my paper, she's my biggest supporter. She even today she still encourages me to be my best and do my best.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you believe, you have been talking about your family history, but that your family history or your cultural heritage has influenced your career, and if so, how?
Yeah, I think I may have touched on that a little bit. So my mom, she herself, I'm trying to think how I weave this part of the story in. So she actually went to the Art Institute in Chicago for a little bit, and she ended up coming back here. Well, she went to Purdue Northwest for a bit. Well, back then it was Purdue Cal. I'm surprised they called it Purdue Northwest right now.
I know.
So she was there, and then she came here, and she was studying fine art because she's an artist. I don't think of myself as an artist. I'm a graphic designer. It's a very different thing. So, but she always I was raised in that art. I remember her always working on something or drawing something, and so art was always really big for me growing up because it was just there. And I remember she taught my sister how to oil paint, and we never quite got there for me. So she watches this, she'll be like, oh, Becca. But it's always been there, and it was always encouraged. She didn't force me to go to college to be a doctor. Not that it's a bad thing, I don't want to come off like it's a bad thing, but something that I'm just not built for. It was always a part of who she was, and part of my growing up, and so I think more so the family history as opposed to the cultural heritage in that part. Definitely influenced the career that I went into.
Yeah. What are your values, and how do they shape the person you are?
So I think that draws back to also when my parents got divorced when I was 10. I had to grow up really fast. So as you may have probably experienced too. And then, you know, you just become very responsible. You're, like, I had written in here about my childhood, moments of my childhood that led to who I am as a person. And I talk about being fun, carefree, and creative. That's how I kind of grew up. And that was still very much a part of who I was growing up after my parents got divorced, but it's almost like the practical part of life had to kick in and all that stuff, you know. So was that the question about my values? And so all of that definitely contributed to who I have become, because I had to be respectful of my mom. I mean, not that I wasn't already, but even more so because we just had to do things. We couldn't question, like, Mom, I don't want to do that. Well, we have to, because this is what we have to do, kind of thing. So it made me become, like, I've always been a very positive thinking person, but it added a lot of, like, responsibility and, a lot of respect, because I had to get kind of, like, tossed around a little bit here and there, and because when she had to work, we had friends and family that would help watch my sister and me, and so it's now, you be respectful. If you're eating dinner there, you eat it and you like it, and you don't say anything. So. So it's always been about being respectful and respectable and kind, and I wrote down on here the golden rule very much. I think it just embodies who I am as a person. And kind of going beyond all what I experienced as a kid, I think more so as I grew up and I got to see more of the world and learn other people's stories and know that everybody has a different story and has different experiences. I can't emphasize it enough how important it is for us to see ourselves and try to see ourselves in their shoes, because we don't, I think a lot of people just don't want to. And it's like, you know, they're very focused on them and what they want to do and how they want to live their lives. But I think that, you know, I always say we're all in this together. Like, literally everybody, we're all in life together. We might as well enjoy it and just be kind to people and respectful of people and have empathy.
I definitely agree. I think people need to have more compassion for other people and have that feeling be mutual. And I think the world would be a better place.
I agree. 100%.
So you said you attended IU Bloomington, but
I did.
Attending IU Bloomington, did this have any influence over your career decisions?
I think that it did. So I've kind of, this kind of combines where I've worked too, but I guess I never really quite knew where I wanted to fall when I decided I wanted to do graphic design. Because when I went away to Bloomington, I actually wanted to go into public relations. I thought I wanted to go into public relations. And then I took a PR course. Because we all know college is about taking things that you find out you don't want to do too. But when I was in high school, I worked at our local library, and I was the PR, they called me the PR assistant. Like, I started out putting away books, they called me the page. And I moved up to the PR assistant, and I got to, this is real torture. I got to draw pictures by hand for, like, events that they had coming to the library. I almost said university. I had it. So I got to make posters, and it was so much fun. I loved it. I'm like, they're actually paying me for this. This is great. I'm totally getting on a tangent here, but I did that, and then I kind of, when I was in high school, I was on the yearbook staff too, so I got to use more of, like, the computer programs. This is where I age myself. So I got to use the computer, which was really exciting, and I think it was Microsoft Publisher at the time, which I thought was just the bee's knees. It was the coolest thing ever. So then I kind of got into that, and then I thought, oh, well, when I go to college, I want to go into public relations because that's what my boss at the library did. And then I took the course. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking this probably isn't for me because I'm more of, like, a quieter, introverted person. So then, luckily, in the School of Journalism, that's why I ended up getting my degree in there, they had advertising and graphic design. So I got to explore it there. So I can't remember how we started this part of the conversation. I totally led you down some sort of path.
No, that's okay. I think you still answered the question in your own way.
Okay, good.
Can you touch on a little bit more about your previous work history before coming to IU?
Sure, yes. Let's see here. When I graduated from Bloomington, that's what I was getting at. Spark. So when I graduated, I ended up getting my first real job at the Times newspaper.
Okay.
And I worked there as a graphic designer in the advertising side for a couple of years. And I enjoyed what I did, and I learned a lot, because you always learn a lot on the job too.
Yeah.
But I always felt like I needed something more.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got a job down in Indianapolis working for a place called Sport Graphics. And they're the ones that they produced the big Taylor Swift for the JW Marriott Hotel down there.
Yeah.
So I worked there for a year, but I missed my family, so I came back up here and I worked back at the Times again. But I always just felt like something was missing. And then I ended up finding a job just kind of popped up out of nowhere at Valparaiso University.
Okay.
As